If you're looking for a new way to support the podcast, check out Dubby.gg, an energy supplement company trying to make a difference. There you can use code SIDEMISSION for 10% off your order. Thank you to Dubby for sponsoring this episode, and we hope you enjoy.
Welcome into the newest episode of Side Mission. I, like always, am your host, Rusty Ellis, joined by just one of the boys, Kyle Lynch, and today we are talking about Spongebob Squarepants Titans of the Tide. Not gonna lie, I had to fight to keep a straight face saying Spongebob Squarepants. You know, it is not easy to say that with a straight face, but nonetheless, Kyle, it is a continuation of the Spongebob series. Obviously, started with Battle for Bikini Bottom, then we had the Cosmic Shake a couple years ago, and now Titans of the Tide. And I think me and you will both agree on this. This feels very much like the best SpongeBob 3D platformer that we've gotten yet. This is a really, really solid game as a whole.
Yeah, when Battle for Bikini Bottom was remastered, I was excited just to get that. And I think Cosmic Shake was probably on par with it. It was really good. I think both of you, looking back when we reviewed that game, we really enjoyed it. I think there were a lot of times that the game was genuinely funny. This game feels almost like an evolution of the first two because it's got so much more the way you can, swap between characters. That was a huge mechanic. Obviously, it was marketed so much with, you can, swap between characters and play as Patrick or SpongeBob whenever. I think that's really big because it was something that was kind of taken out of Cosmic Shake. In Battle for Bikini Bottom, you obviously had the levels where you could play as other characters, but it was just for that level. And then in Cosmic Shake, it was pretty much just SpongeBob. And in this, I like that you swap between both, and they each have their own respective abilities, that makes them feel like their own character.
They both bring value to the table. I think that's a good way of putting it. They don't feel like playing as SpongeBob does not feel the exact same as playing as Patrick. They both have very, very unique abilities and skill sets. And I do think that is a big plus in a game like this. Now, the game as a whole is not a terribly difficult game. I don't think it's supposed to be. Obviously, it's SpongeBob. This is made, I think, primarily for kids. But I do think that even being kind of an easier game, I do think the level design is really engaging. I think that the level design as a whole is really interesting. I think one thing that Battle for Bikini Bottom had that Cosmic Shake, to my recollection, didn't have a lot of was I felt like it lacked a lot in puzzles. I felt like Battle for Bikini Bottom, there was a fair amount more puzzles there where you actually had to think and solve different problems in each level. Whereas Cosmic Shake, it felt more or less was like get through the entirety of a level, do a boss fight, move on. I do feel like this game does go more of the Battle for Bikini Bottom route, where the puzzle design is actually really good. It's not just so simple that a toddler can do it, but it's also not so hard that you have to have a PhD to figure it out. So I do think, Kyle, the level design is a very strong part of this game as well. And I think in a 3D platformer, that's paramount that you nail the level design. I think that in a 3D platformer with bad level design, your game isn't going to be good by any means. So I think that the level design here, Kyle, is another big step up from Cosmic Shake.
Oh, yeah. And, there was one thing that Cosmic Shake did do that this game doesn't do, where they had the hand-drawn, art that would pop up on screen. I thought that was funny as hell. I missed that. I wish they would have kept that, but everything else is definitely a step up from Cosmic Shake. And we liked Cosmic Shake, but, dude, even the way that the boss fights are done, I think they're just so much better. It feels like, you're not just running in spamming the same button, you actually have to avoid their attacks, and there's different ways to take them on, and there's different things that you can do within the boss fights to actually tackle how you beat them. It's wild that we're talking about SpongeBob having this good of gameplay and level design when we have other games, other 3D platformers that are just being left in the dust.
I think that's the thing. I mean, you mentioned being left in the dust. I mean, the last really good 3D platformer that I enjoyed that came out was probably over a year ago when Astro Bot came out. That's realistically the last one I can think of.
Yeah, well, that and Donkey Kong.
Does that really count?
Yeah, Donkey Kong's
Does
3D
that really
platformer.
count? Does that really count, though?
That was like an evolution of 3D platformers almost. It was like,
That game sucked, though. I'm just
wait a
kidding.
minute.
Obviously, I'm trolling. I'm trolling. No, you're right.
No,
I
yeah.
forget. I'm not gonna lie. That's how many games we've had come out. Is that I forgot
Dude.
all about Donkey Kong somehow.
Yeah, dude, we've played so many games this year, but I don't know. I think that this game, with also the costumes, we got to talk about the costumes. The way that you can unlock so many different costumes from all the classic memes to they have plenty of references from the show. That was something that Cosmic Shake kind of did that, but this game does it so much better. I think there's a lot more variety. You've obviously got different costumes between Patrick and SpongeBob now. The whole floating Krusty Krab being the base, and you can get upgrades for it and get different things. I think that's cool. That's something that Cosmic Shake didn't really have. It was, you kind of more or less unlock different parts of Bikini Bottom the way that Battle for Bikini Bottom did it, but this, I kind of like having a home base that you continuously come back to and find new stuff. You continuously come back to, and you've got, quests to even get there. And I don't know, it's wild that they really turned this almost into an RPG platform. Like, you don't really customize a character, but the way that they give you quests and they have you go off and do side objectives, and you can actually explore these worlds now and do stuff. Whereas Battle for Bikini Bottom and Cosmic Shake were pretty linear. There was not a lot of room for exploration. And here it feels like there's a lot of, you go back to levels, there's whole areas that you didn't even know existed. Like, it's wild. I don't know. I'm really enjoying this game. I think that this is one that, if they continue going this route, they continue, evolving the gameplay, I guess, it could, it's wild that it's going to end up being on the same level as big name 3D platformers, because they're just continuously improving the gameplay. I think THQ really needs to be commended when other companies are just kind of recycling the same garbage, or like Activision just not even touching Crash or Spyro. What is going on?
What's Spyro?
What's for Spyro? Real, literally. And SpongeBob's on their third damn game. Dude, it kills me.
Yeah, it does say something that they're like, nobody wants to make a new Spyro game for some reason, and I can't understand that. I don't understand at all why that is the case. But SpongeBob is getting consistent content, which is really impressive. And again, it's like you said with THQ, it is impressive how they have managed to make each game feel fresh and unique in some way, shape, or form. It is really impressive, because I do think at a certain point it'd be easy to just slap SpongeBob on a game and be like, "All right, there you go." And I don't feel like with Battle for Bikini Bottom, with Cosmic Shake, or with Titans of the Tide, I don't feel like they've really phoned it in on any of them. I feel like there's been clear love and effort put into each game, and I do feel like this game shows that, and it shows up as the best of the series. We haven't really talked about much of the story. It's not a ton to discuss there, but I do feel like it's interesting enough to keep you going as well. I don't feel like this is a story that exists to the detriment of the gameplay. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking, but I do think it's interesting enough to keep you going and to keep you seeing the game through to completion as well. It also helps. The game was only $40, and in a day and age where some games are 80 and some games are and most games are 70. I think that works in this game's favor, Kyle. I think you feel the same way. I mean, I don't think I would have been upset to pay 60 for this game, but paying 40 for it, I think that makes it a steal, and it makes it absolutely worth the price.
100%. I think the Cosmic Shake was 40 as well. I can't remember Battle for Bikini Bottom. That may have been 50. It was probably 42. Dude, this is the year of $40 games.
It really is.
But yeah, the price point as well. I mean, they could have easily slapped 60 on it and been like, look, we've done a lot more. I mean, even with Cosmic Shake, that wasn't a remaster. That was a new game. This was a new game. This is a lot more than Cosmic Shake was. I think it would have been easy for them to just slap $60 on there and been like, look, we've been making these games. We're probably going to make another one. Pay the full price. And they didn't. I'm very happy about that, and I hope that they continue making these. I'd say these are like AA games.
Yeah,
And
not exactly indie games, not exactly AAA, somewhere in between.
yeah, I think $40 is the perfect price point, and it works in its favor because it's a game that it is geared towards a younger audience. But if you're a fan of platformers, if you're a fan of 3D platformers, especially people who grew up with Battle for Bikini Bottom, that are now, I see a lot of people playing, these games now because we grew up with that game, and then they remastered it. That was the perfect thing to do because they remastered it, got everybody back into it, and then they were like, hey, we're dropping Cosmic Shake. That game was actually good. It was funny. Everybody's checking out Titans of the Tide, and it does every single thing better. It's just an improvement, and I don't know, the way that they really pulled this off, the way that they really got a lot of us grown men playing SpongeBob 3D platformers as well. Like, dude, go look at all the YouTube reviews. They're all grown-ass men, like just like us, reviewing freaking SpongeBob. Literally. But that's a testament that it's actually a damn good game. It's not just one of these licensed shovelware trash games, which that's an easy realm to fall into where it's something that doesn't really get a lot of thought put into it. And like you said, you can tell that Battle for Bikini Bottom, Cosmic Shake, and this game, Titans of the Tide, they all had love and effort put into them. They were people that clearly love 3D platformers, that didn't want to just make a buck. I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, it's something that, especially in the day and age of, we see so many games get released that are maybe half finished or or buggy. I feel like we need to appreciate more the developers that put the time and effort in to make their game, one, stable and more than playable at launch. Like this one, I've yet to have any issues with. Performance-wise, this game has been pretty flawless. Like it runs at a very smooth 60 FPS. I've not seen any slowdowns. I've not had any hard crashes. I think that it performs really, really well in that regard. And really across the board, it performs well. But it's very clear, though, that THQ loves this series. And I'm excited to see what they do next because this is a very, very fun game. And that's what a lot of these games are. These games are meant to be fun in a day and age where we play games like Expedition or Death Stranding or Doom or Night Rain, where they're all like super serious and we can get mad at them pretty easily. It's pretty fun it's cool to just play a game where you're just sitting back and you're just chilling playing a SpongeBob. Like that's now I do have to ask the one question of, in a game that is clearly meant for kids, why they put his and Patrick's bare ass in there as a skin.
Hey yo,
that's a little questionable.
Yeah, that was a little weird. And there was a little bit too much time put into sculpting the physics. I was like, bruh.
It's like, okay, like y'all were really detailed and I appreciate that, but did you have to be detailed about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about this, y'all. Like it's a little weird. But other than that, I mean, I genuinely, I don't think I have really any complaints for this game. Is it a 10 out of 10? Probably not. But I mean, I'd feel comfortable giving this game an 8.5, a 9. Like I'd feel comfortable giving it that because I do think it's a quality platformer that, especially like you said, the fact that we are both 30 years old, we're playing a SpongeBob SquarePants game in the year 2025, and we're enjoying it and having fun. That to me says a lot about the quality of this game. So that is going to do it for this episode of Side Mission. You can follow us on Twitter at Side Mission Pod. You can follow us on Facebook as well at Side Mission Podcast. For Kyle, I'm Rusty. Thanks for listening.